So with 170 done and gone, it is time to review the fights. So kicking us off, the first fight was between Freddie Haggerty and Jordan Estupinan. It was the battle of the brothers. This fight went all 3 rounds, and personally, I had it a lot closer than what I'm hearing from a lot of other people. Definitely from what the commentators were saying. They were saying it was a night for Jordan Estupinan, and they were making it out that he won all 3 rounds. I think round 2 was definitely Jordan's round, since he knocked Freddie Haggerty down 2 times. But other than that, I thought Freddie Haggerty won round 3, and I thought round 1 could go either way. I don't think it was as clear cut as what I was hearing it was from the commentators, and that's why I think sometimes turning the commentators off is a lot better than listening to them. Other than that, though, it was a very good fight. Jordan is a lot more precise and patient than his older brother or his twin brother. Freddie Haggerty obviously moved up for this fight, and he was fighting in a heavier weight class, and I still thought he did really, really well. The commentators were on about he didn't have enough power, and I thought he did. I thought in round 3, if he started like that, then he would have decent success. I don't think he'd be the Rod Tangs of the division, but I think he could do quite well in that weight class. I don't think it's something that he should definitely not do, or he should take out of his plans. But with all saying this, I thought Jordan did win the fight in the end. It was a very good fight. I think the 2 knockdowns, it was quite clear that Freddie Haggerty was swinging and missing quite a lot. I think if you swing big and miss big, then you're going to get punished with an even bigger shot. And that's what Jordan did 2 times with 2 right straight crosses. And it just punished Jordan's massive swing and a miss. But overall, it was a very good fight to start off the card with. So fight 2 was between Suriyanlek and Thant Zin. I don't even know where to start with this fight. Suriyanlek has got the victory in round 2 after the 3-round rule, getting knocked down 3 times in 1 round to cancel the fight. I don't know how he came back and won this matchup. Thant Zin was absolutely destroying his leg in round 1, and you could tell by the body language that Suriyanlek was hurting because of it. It was hyperextending his knee, and it was damaging him and causing him to move a lot slower than he would have wanted. And because Thant Zin was constantly going to the leg, it meant Suriyanlek was already prematurely checking that rear leg kick, which meant he wasn't able to back up the way he wanted. Personally, I think Thant Zin's game plan is the reason he lost this fight. He hurt him so much, and the commentators were right. Why he didn't start throwing his roundhouse up high instead, I don't know. I don't know what he drills in the gym, but it just seemed like he was working off of his jab to set up an angle off onto his rear leg low kick, which was working. But when someone started checking it, and when you're getting knocked down because they know it's coming, start going up high to occupy their hands, because he was just getting boxed up every single time he entered the distance. Right, as soon as he entered the space between them, throw his leg kick, he was getting pieced up with the hands. So I don't know why he didn't start throwing it up high to occupy Suriyanlek's hands. But Suriyanlek has now finished 7 out of his 8 in his last wins. So he has got powerful hands as well. But it was another good fight, and Suriyanlek was picking up the victory. So fight 3 was between Al-Tekreeti and Noiri. This fight was one of the fights I was looking more so towards, as I'm a big fan of Noiri. He does use his squared stance and forward pressure to dominate a lot of opponents, and he does have very powerful leg kicks, which he is known for, kind of like Thant Zin. And you could see why in this fight. You could kind of see that Al-Tekreeti was struggling with the kickboxing rule set and not being able to clinch. and you could see him getting confused in the round 1 where he got told off 2 times, or he got a warning. From there, Noiri just started beating up his legs. You could see that Al-Tekreeti wasn't doing the best job with checking these kicks, and he was landing them on the inside and the outside due to Al-Tekreeti changing his stance constantly, which is a good thing to do against leg kicks, but as you're doing it, you're having your legs beat up on both sides then. So, as I understand, it's a good thing to do against leg kicks to change stance. It was also the thing that's ended up messing him up, as Noiri hurt his left leg in the end of round 1, giving him a standing count, and then he finished him in round 2 with an inside leg kick, and it seemed to be as Al-Tekreeti was bringing his leg up, Noiri's connected, and it seemed to break his leg just at the knee, or the commentator said break. To me, I don't think it was a break. I think it was more so either a dislocation or damage towards the ligaments within the knee, because you didn't see the leg snap, so I don't think it's a broken bone. It's more so he hit just below the knee, and it made him not being able to move his calf or his shin. So that, to me, says ligament damage and tendon damage more than a broken bone. So Noiri gets to finish in round 2 over Al-Tekreeti, who did seem to struggle in kickboxing because all of his fights have been in Thai boxing. So fight 4 was our first and our only submission match, and it saw the return of one of the greatest ever, Marcelo Garcia, and he was against Mizakazu Imanari. When the fight started, they were both feeling each other out, but instantly Marcelo Garcia got the upper hand and got Imanari against the cage, and he had a 2-1 lock onto his wrist, meaning Marcelo Garcia had 2 hands controlling Imanari's one wrist. From there, when Imanari tried to fight out of it, Marcelo Garcia secured the takedown, and into side control it was. Imanari did a very good job of stalling and defensive work from his back, but Marcelo Garcia is clinical when it comes to being on the top in jiu-jitsu. He instantly used his chest to flatten Imanari out. Imanari did get a nice lock around Marcelo Garcia's leg, making it hard for him to pass, but in the end all it was denying the inevitable. As soon as Marcelo got his leg out, Garcia got the full mount and tried for a choke. He didn't like the angle, and the commentators were saying they could sit here and say all the things he could try to do better, but if it's Marcelo Garcia, you know he's doing it for a reason. So he instantly went back to side control, and then he went and he secured a north to south choke, or a north to south mount. And from there, it was just the pressure onto Imanari's head caused him to tap. So I think it was 5 minutes into the 10-minute round. From here, I just don't know what people want to see from Marcelo Garcia, as he is 42. He's a very impressive and one of the best ever when it comes to jiu-jitsu. But do we really want to see him sit there and go for the title shot or title opportunity and things like that at this point? But I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. Fight 5 saw an MMA match between Maurice Abevi and Samat Mammadov. I won't lie, I, like everybody else, had Mammadov winning this fight from as soon as it was booked. I think coming out 10-0 out of Europe with 9 finishes is impressive, right? And he was following in the footsteps of his fellow Kazakhstani, Shavkat Rakhmonov, with that finish, right? The problem is that when he got into that ring, it seemed like Maurice Abevi was just so much more looser and fluid with his striking, which Mammadov sat there and said earlier this week that Maurice would struggle on the feet and he would grapple first. Little did Mammadov know he would eat his words. Maurice Abevi pieced him up on the feet, feeling so comfortable that he was ending up throwing spinning back kicks, and he was fighting out of a bladed stance, which made it a lot easier to go forward in short bursts, which caught Mammadov with a right hand. It was a straight right from one of these short little bursts from a bladed stance that stunned Mammadov. From there, he just couldn't get his feet back, and he was losing on the feet, so he went for a takedown. He went for a single leg, which didn't work, and then Abevi reversed it and took him down of himself, getting the top mount, and from there, side control, where he landed a knee straight onto Mammadov's nose, which compromised it heavily. It split it open and made it hard for Mammadov to breathe. My biggest take from this was how calm Abevi looked in the ring against somebody who has been labelled as a killer and the person to beat him for a long time, ever since the fight was booked. Mammadov did end up tapping in the end due to the compromised nose and not being able to breathe. Overall, it was a good fight and a very good showing from Noiri Abevi. So, fight 6 was a battle of the Johans. It was Johan Estupinan versus Johan Ghazali. This fight, it was, I think, one of the closer fights. I think round 1 you can give to Ghazali because of the knockdown, and round 2 to Estupinan because of his knockdown. I think Ghazali was doing a much better job against the Estupinan style of coming in with hard shots, where he was throwing his leg kicks in, but he had a high guard whilst throwing them, so he wasn't getting caught whilst throwing his leg kicks. Partner that up with, Estupinan was fighting out of a southpaw stance, whereas Ghazali was fighting orthodox, and what that means is that both are fighting kind of in a mirrored stance, so it's opening up their strong leg and strong arm to get a cleaner shot onto the opposition or the opponent. So in the first round and second round, I thought Estupinan was missing with a lot of his rear leg high kicks, and Ghazali was doing a very good job punishing that by going down and chopping onto the back of his leg to punish his misses. From there, the knockdown, it did look like a slip in the first round, but Ghazali caught him as he was going backwards and he fell over. When he got back up, he stumbled, and I think it was that stumble that persuaded the referee to do a knockdown into Ghazali's favour, whereas in round 2, it seemed like Estupinan hit a switch kick. Well, it would have even been a switch kick. He hit a rear leg roundhouse straight to the body, and it just seemed to shut Ghazali off, and Ghazali went stiff and fell over. From there, he did recover, and he did go on the aggressive for the rest of the fight. But in round 3, Estupinan looked better as he was sticking and moving. He was throwing his shots in, and afterwards he was moving away, so he wasn't getting countered. So I think round 3 was Estupinan, and he managed to cut Ghazali just on the top right of his eye. It was a very good matchup from two very young fighters, and I think it is a matchup that we will see again within that flyweight Muay Thai scene, personally. Within probably the next 2 years, I think we'll see this matchup again easily as probably contenders for the belt. So, fight 7 was the Aquaman Sinsamut Klinmee versus Trujillo. So, Trujillo was the older and the shorter opponent in this fight, and I do think you can see that. I think Aquaman did a lot better, and I think it's just a typical Aquaman fight of him using his brute strength to overcome opponents. I think it's the power and the strength he has in his upper body, specifically with his punches or his elbows, that win him so many fights. I mean, the first knockdown was from a 1-2-2, where he put him down in a lovely fashion. From there, Trujillo did well to survive for an extra 30 seconds, maybe. But from there, I mean, Aquaman hit another elbow, knocked him down, and then the rest was history, because he knocked him down 3 times in round 1. So there's not much to talk about with this fight, but it was a big Aquaman W. So fight 8 saw Bompara Kouyate taking on the biggest challenge of his career so far, taking on Smoking Joe, or Joe Nattawut. Bompara Kouyate came into this fight looking probably one of the best shapes he has done in recent times, and that's saying something since he has looked phenomenal in all of his one championship fights so far. Bompara Kouyate has got a very long, rangy style, which makes it very hard for featherweights to deal with. But partnering that up with his fast, agile movements, he is a very big menace at that weight class. At the moment, he did beat Joe Nattawut, and I could see it coming every time Joe Nattawut threw his right roundhouse. Bompara Kouyate was going to catch. No matter where Nattawut threw it, to the leg, head, or body, Bompara Kouyate was going for the catch. And that's how he got his first knockdown, catching the kick and eating a right straight to Joe Nattawut, putting him down. Kouyate also does throw a lot of his things from a southpaw stance, or he switches in between to try and get Nattawut to throw the roundhouse. And I think that was his game plan from all along. Nattawut personally had to probably get a little bit closer in, which makes it a lot harder due to Bompara Kouyate's movement. With him being such a fast mover, it's hard for a smaller fighter to get in without getting tagged. And Bompara Kouyate just finished a fight, knocking Nattawut down 3 times with straight crosses. He did look extremely impressive during this fight. So I can only imagine he is the one who gets a shot against Tawanchai next. Fight 9 saw Saeksan take on Soe Lin Oo. This fight was fight of the night personally. It was a firefight from the very first punch and kick that was thrown from both. Neither fighter refused to give up an inch. Neither one of them wanted to be on the back foot, and that led to a very good firefight and slugfest of a fight. In the end, Saeksan did do enough to stay ahead of Soe Lin Oo onto the cards. So Saeksan did get the victory, but it was a very explosive and a very exciting fight to watch. Saeksan did have the most success landing the better shots though, at one moment even wobbling Soe Lin Oo right in the first round. Other than that, both fighters did look very good, and it's why this fight was such a high one on the cards, being above the likes of Kouyate versus Nattawut, because everyone knew it was going to be a fire show. Everyone knew that there was going to be massive haymakers thrown, massive leg kicks, and I'm surprised that it went all fucking 3 rounds. I thought it would have ended a lot sooner, personally. Fight 10 saw a match for the interim bantamweight Muay Thai Championship, where Nico Carrillo took on Nabil Anane. This fight was one I had going Nico Carrillo's way. So did a lot of legends like Liam Harrison, who also said Nico Carrillo would get the job done and Nabil Anane would not be able to get close. Everyone was far from the truth. He used his range perfectly. Nabil kept Nico Carrillo on the outside, and he kept him on the fucking receiving end of a right cross all night that kept landing straight onto Carrillo's chin. In the end, it did put Carrillo down, and Nabil Anane scored the first knockdown. From there, Carrillo couldn't find his feet properly. He didn't have his balance, and you could tell his equilibrium was rocked. From there, Anane landed a nice knee in a clinch, because the bloke is 6'4". That's insane. For that weight class, 6'4" is insane. I might be wrong with the bantamweight. I'm pretty sure it might be feather. I'm pretty sure it's bantam. But 6'4" at that weight class is unheard of. Right, it's such a weird bloke to watch. But he landed a beautiful knee straight down the middle. From there, he landed probably the best knockdown of the night. It was one of my favourite ones. It was that beautiful, lovely, looping right roundhouse that landed straight onto Carrillo's head. Right, his shin wrapped around Carrillo's temple, and it was just like his head was stuck to his shin as he dropped down to the floor. From there, the fight was done. Carrillo couldn't hang in there long enough. Nabil Anane became the new bantamweight interim champion for Muay Thai, and he gets a shot at challenging Superlek probably in the next couple of months. And we get to see if one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters ever, Superlek, is able to crack the code that is Nabil Anane. Fight 11 saw Fabricio Andrade defending his bantamweight world championship for MMA against Kwon. This is the second matchup between the two, Fabricio beating him in the first matchup. In the second fight, it happened even sooner. You could tell Fabricio was hunting for the liver from the very first strike he threw. He was hunting there with liver kicks, liver punches. He was trying to get a knee in, and eventually he did. He sunk a knee straight into the liver of Kwon. Kwon responded with a big right hook. Fabricio missed, or Fabricio made him miss, landed a lovely liver hook. Kwon got dropped. From there, Fabricio Andrade just started beating him up on the ground. From here, I don't know what we want to see from Fabricio Andrade, as this is his 9th win in a row now in MMA, and he does seem like no one can take that belt off of him. There is people in the lineups like R2, like Orgil Bentancur, who could be one of them, who could be a very fan favourite good matchup to see. How Andre fights against somebody who's probably a little bit bigger than him. So I think that's one of the matchups we could see in the end. So fight 12 was the most anticipated fight of the year, where we saw the rematch between Superbon and Tawanchai, where Tawanchai was defending his featherweight Thai boxing championship. Personally, this fight, it was genuinely just who improved the most. And I think Tawanchai has improved the most. He said he wasn't happy with recent performances, and you can see that he put in a lot of work to beat Superbon in this fight. He keeps him at the range using his lead leg constantly on that bounce, as Tawanchai has very fast kicks that come up out of nowhere in either a side kick, front kick, or a roundhouse to keep Superbon or any other opponents at range. Superbon was doing well with the counters, so was Tawanchai, as he was making Superbon miss and then cracking him with straight rights. In the end, the first round was up in the air. It could have went either way. The second round, though, it didn't go long before Tawanchai managed to crack Superbon with a flurry of punches that put him down. From there, Superbon managed to survive for an extra 30 seconds. Tawanchai put on too much pressure and managed to drop him very early into round 2. Personally, I think this fight, I think it just shows why Tawanchai is one of the best fighters at the moment in Muay Thai. But I think he can do it in kickboxing as well. If you watch that fight back, there wasn't many clinches. There wasn't many elbows thrown from Tawanchai. It was mainly kicks and punches. And who at the moment is the kickboxing featherweight champion? Superbon. Superbon has challenged Tawanchai 2 times now for his belt. Now Tawanchai, it's his turn to challenge Superbon for the kickboxing belt personally. Or he could also go on to defend his belt against the likes of Bompara Kouyate. So I think Tawanchai is able to have a very busy year this year, and I think it's going to be standout performance after standout performance for the young fighter.